Nobody has $42,000 just sitting there to pay within 30 days. Nobody's got that. They set me up to fail. They set me up to basically squeeze me and then kick me out and sue me. What you got going on over here?
Just pricing some stuff. We got a Home Depot load and just pricing it at about 60 to 75% off.
Okay. All right, well, I'm gonna go to the back and have a chat.
Go vent, go have some therapy.
Yeah. Come into the comfort of my shipping room. I'm just gonna have a seat right here. And so it's been about 5 months since my last video. I'm recording this at the beginning of September. I think my last video was sometime in April. And that was after only about a month of creating content again after taking a really, really long hiatus from YouTube. I had come back in March of 2023 to talk about the failures that I had had. And in that video, I was really optimistic about where I was going. I had had a lot of challenges up to that point, my first year having a physical store and running a brick and mortar business and having employees. And in that video, I talked about how my business had made over $1 million and it was failing seemingly. And, you know, and that was completely true. And it's really hard to believe that a business can do over $1 million. Actually, after going back over my records, it was closer to $1.5 million. It's really crazy to think about the fact that your business can do that much revenue and you're just not just rolling in profit, right? And that's kind of the danger with a bin store model, is that you don't really control your margins, you don't really control your prices, you have a lot of damage. You just basically buy by the truckload, throw merchandise out there. There's really no control over your margins, and so that means that your margins are usually pretty slim, and that was a problem that I was having. So back in March, not only was I dealing with a business that was making a whole ton of money, but I really wasn't profitable, and so I was looking for all of these ways to change my business so that I could be more profitable. There was also a business partnership at that time that went south, and they basically conned me out of $22,000. And unfortunately, they have not made good on that. And so, yeah, I'm out $22,000 from this partnership. So since they stopped paying me, I'll probably tell you guys more about it in detail if you want to hear about it. So let me know in the comments below if you want to hear about how I got conned out of $22,000 from these people. But so that was kind of just the tip of the iceberg. I felt like everything was turning around. I had all of these ideas and things that I was going to do to change my business and get my profits back up. And I felt like I was doing really good creating regular content again. Everything seemed like it was headed in the right direction. And it only took a month after that for things to get even worse, if that was possible. Got a lot worse, you guys. It got a lot worse. Yeah, so to put it bluntly, my landlord squeezed me for $42,000 and then more than doubled my rent. Yeah, so that happened. I changed the store model of my store to try to increase my profits. In turn, I lost a lot of my customers and I had to lay off all of my staff. That happened. The previous partnership that I was doing business with that were making regular payments to me to basically pay off the debt that they owed me, they stopped making those payments, and in turn that form of revenue stopped, so that happened. I had 3 other competing bin stores open up, taking most of my customers away. That happened. In the liquidation world, there has been a shortage of supply due to the market finally leveling out, and now there is this higher demand for loads because of all of these people that have open stores and people buying truckloads and liquidation. That has caused the cost of loads to increase exponentially. It's also caused loads to decrease, and for people to basically be buying truckloads of half of the goods that they used to for double the price. So all in all, it created this ripple effect through my store that I have been feeling. And it hurts. It hurts real bad. The biggest thing that happened that has just caused this cascading negative series of events was what my landlord did. And it's really hard to even describe the situation to people that have never had a commercial lease, because it's really hard to understand exactly what happened, why it happened, how it happened, and how they can do it. So about a week after, only a week after my comeback to YouTube, I was contacted by the new property management company that my landlord had hired. So the landlord that I have is really, really big in the Wichita area. I think he has somewhere between 200 and 300 commercial leases that he has in this area. And so when you have that many properties, you have a property management company take control of all of this, because you're just basically one fat cat with a whole bunch of money, and you just own a bunch of properties and you don't want to have to actually do any work. So I had originally signed my commercial lease with the previous property management company, and everything was seemingly fine. I had no problems with that property management company. I always paid my rent on time. And then they changed property management companies, and then suddenly I started noticing this change regarding billing statements and things. So the first time I was ever introduced to this property management company, they had reached out and told me that I owed $1,800. And it was just very, very strange to me, because I had never been contacted by the previous property management company with any sort of balances owed. But then this new property management company contacts me, and they basically came charging into the store. I will never forget this woman's face as long as I live. She came charging into my store with the most smug look. This was in January of 2023, if memory serves. It was right after Christmas. She comes charging into the store, and she just like serves me this paper, and she just like, here, you take the paper. And the paper told me that I had 5 days to pay them $1,800 because I was $1,800 behind on payments. And that made zero sense to me, because I had always made all of my payments on time. And so the next day I went down to the property management company, and I asked to talk to the account manager so that they could give me a printout and show me where exactly this $1,800 was coming from. And so she printed it out, she showed me, and it showed that I was $1,800 behind from my first ever rent payment, which was back in October, November of 2021. That was when my first official rent check was due. And I remembered that because the ballasts in the ceilings, so if you could see the lights in the ceilings, there was a whole bunch of lights that when I first took possession of the building, half of the ballasts were burned out. And the property manager had told me, oh, it's just the bulbs. It's just the bulbs. You just need to change the light bulbs. And I had changed all the light bulbs. I spent like $500 on light bulbs for the entire store, and none of the lights came on. Well, I had an electrician come out. Turns out all the ballasts were bad. And so they had to replace like half of the ballasts in the building. And that is not something that should have been my responsibility, because that has to do with the maintenance of the building. That was supposed to be on the landlord. So the property manager basically told me, just get the ballasts replaced and we'll just take it out of your first month's rent. So that's exactly what happened. I took it out of my first month's rent. I had the invoice for the electrician and I submitted it with my check. And so I basically paid my rent less this $1,800. Well, when this new property management company took over, they reconciled all of the books. Nobody from the previous property management company had notated that we had that agreement. So it basically showed on the books that I paid $1,800 less than I was supposed to for my first payment. And so I went back and forth with them talking about, you know, how the ballast needed to be replaced in the ceiling, and I gave them the invoice that stated, you know, this was the total that it took to fix the ballast, and that's the exact amount. It was the exact amount that my rent check was short. And, you know, and I explained to them it's because the previous property manager had told me to just pay the amount less the ballast repair. And guess what the new property management company said? Just guess what they said. They said that because they have no record of it, I have that it is owed, and if I don't pay it, then they are going to move forward with evicting me. It will be cause for a quit to lease because I have a balance due that I didn't pay. Regardless of the fact that it had been 14 months at that point, it was well over a year. Nobody ever collected it. Nobody even questioned why I had a balance due according to their bookkeeping. And so no matter what I did, we went round and round for the next 4 days, and the statement that they gave me said I had 5 days to pay it. So I ended up just paying them the $1,800 that they said that I owed. It really pissed me off. I was really angry about it because the previous property management company told me that that was their responsibility, and because I had to fix it, I would deduct it from my rent. It was completely fair, in my opinion, but because the first property management company did such a bad job at notating the situation, the new property management company just basically said, the landlord doesn't recall. The property management company just could have said anything. Sorry, you owe us the money, pay me. That was the first taste that I got of this new property management company that kind of told me that things were going to be different. They didn't seem to be nearly as easy to work with as the previous property management company. And I was kind of dreading what was going to happen moving forward. So a few months later, that's when I had my comeback to YouTube. That's when, you know, I started kind of changing things around in my store. I started changing what I was doing. Well, a week after I posted that comeback video that I made, 1 week after that, the new property manager contacted me with a bill, a really, really big bill. Keep in mind, I'm not expecting any bills because I pay my rent on time every single month. If you know anything about commercial leases, they are way different from residential leases. You have to actually pay for the property taxes and the insurance if you have a triple net lease, which I do. Around here, nobody does commercial leases without triple nets. Every single property I looked at had triple nets. So basically what happens is you have your base rent, which is based off of your square footage, and then you have your triple net add-ins, which are for things like common areas like the parking lot or yard work outside or snow removal. You also have to pay for a certain percentage of the building for things like property taxes or insurance. And so when I signed my lease, the triple nets were quoted as one thing. So it was basically my base rent plus my estimated triple nets. But what happened was I'm trying to figure out how to explain this so that it doesn't just sound like I'm a lowlife that wasn't paying my rent, so I got slapped with a really big bill. I was paying what the original property management company put in my lease was the estimated triple net. So I was paying my base rent plus what they estimated my annual taxes, insurance, and common ground maintenance costs to be. So that's what I was paying. But what ended up happening was I was underpaying because the previous property management company grossly underestimated what those triple nets were going to be. I was paying the correct square footage rent, but I was grossly underpaying the taxes, the insurance, and the grounds maintenance. And it took a year and a half for anybody to tell me that. So what happens when you're paying too little for a year and a half? You're building up this backlog of money owed in the account. And so when the new property management company took over, according to them, the first property management company did such a bad job that the new property management company needed almost a year to reconcile all of the books and figure out all of the things that needed to be fixed. So when my books were supposed to be reconciled back in August of 2022, which would make my lease be the first year, it took them September, October, November, December, January, March. It took them another 6 months to reconcile my first year, which meant that I had a year and 6 months where I was underpaying. So the property management company contacts me and shows up with a bill for $42,000. $42,000. For a year and a half of underpaying my triple nets. Not only did they show up with a bill for $42,000, but they also informed me that if I was to start paying the correct amount of my rent plus triple nets, that my new rent payment was going up about 2.5 times. As in more than double. My monthly rent was going up more than double. And they basically told me I had until the end of the next 30 days to give them the $42,000. Otherwise, they were going to evict me and they would sue me for the remainder of the lease. Which at that point was well over $100,000. So I was indebted to them well into the 6 figures. So the first thing I did is I called my lawyer. Because of course I do have a lawyer on retainer, and I told him the whole story, and it was probably the worst week that I had ever had up until that point. That was the worst week I've ever had my entire life. Because in my eyes, I have a lease. I have a lease that says how much I'm supposed to pay. And yes, in that lease, it does say that at the end of the fiscal year, there could be a balance owed depending on variables like insurance going up, property taxes going up. Maybe there was more snow that year, so the parking lot needed more snow removal. But the previous property management company had basically put it to me like, you're looking at 10, max 20% increase. It was nothing like $42,000 over the course of a year and a half. Was them telling me what the likely variable would be. You might get $5,000 over the course of a year, max, if, the property insurance went up or the taxes went up, something went up. But it's usually a 10 to 20% swing. That's what I was expecting to have happen. I was not expecting a $42,000 bill. It was basically, I was paying half of the rent I was supposed to be paying the entire time I had been here up until this point. So I'm talking to my lawyer and I'm asking him, I'm like, there's no way that they can do this. There's no way they could do this. There's no way that they could come and tell me I owe them $42,000 when they did not tell me in a timely manner. Had they told me this when my fiscal year was up, it would have been a much smaller, more manageable amount. But because it took them so long to reconcile the books, that's not my fault. It is not my fault that they took another 9 months after my fiscal year ended to tell me I was underpaying. That can't be my fault. And my lawyer agreed. My lawyer looked at the lease, he looked over everything, and he agreed that the entire lease was ambiguous, that there was a lot of due diligence that was owed that wasn't done. And it was his opinion that I could fight it and I could potentially win. But it was going to cost a lot of time and a lot of money to fight it. And that was the most painful part of it, was that if I protested, if I told the property management company, hell no, I'm not paying you $42,000. It's not my fault that it took you this long to find out I was underpaying. My fiscal year was up 9 months ago. You're supposed to give me this kind of thing within a timely manner. You didn't give it to me in a timely manner. Instead, you let me rack up an astronomical bill. Nobody has $42,000 just sitting there to pay within 30 days. Nobody's got that. They set me up to fail. They set me up to basically squeeze me and then kick me out and sue me. I could have easily been like, nope, not going to happen. And I could have fought it. But then what would have happened? I would have gotten kicked out of the building. I would have lost my store. And it still would have cost me upwards of $50,000 to go to court to fight it. So I thought I was done, but I realized I forgot to mention something regarding the situation with the landlord. I am not the only person that it happened to. There was actually multiple businesses that had to close down for this exact same reason. There was a Papa Murphy's here in Derby that had to close down because the landlord out of nowhere raised their rent. Same company, same reason. It just took so long to reconcile books and all of that. And there was multiple businesses in Wichita that were forced to close down. There was some news stories that was actually done in the Wichita area talking about all these businesses closing because they couldn't afford their rent anymore. And the one common denominator was the landlord. So there was a lot of businesses that had to close down for the exact same reason that I am struggling now. So just goes to show some landlords really don't care about supporting small business. So while it's really easy to sit there and say that I'm on the right side and I'm the one that's being wronged, I don't have $50,000 to pay a lawyer to fight this shark, essentially. I mean, this is a property management company that is hired by a landlord that has millions and millions of dollars worth of property, deep, deep pockets, lawyers on retainer that are probably a lot more high powered than mine. He probably has an entire team. So if I were to take him to court to try to argue this, yeah, there's a chance I could win. But would I really win? You know, I would have lost my business completely. I would have gotten evicted. I would have been broke even more than I was. So I was basically forced to make a deal and pay them what they say that they're owed and figure out how to come up with the money. And that's where I was at. So that's why I stopped putting up videos 5 months ago, because I couldn't figure out how to put up videos and pretend like everything was okay when I was being squeezed for $40,000 and trying to figure out how to just keep my head above water. So after that happened, you know, I ran numbers and I really had to figure out how to make the store more profitable, because my rent payment alone had more than doubled, and the money that I had to pay the landlord was quite literally all of the cash reserves that I had. Everything I had to give to the landlord in order to stay in business. And so during the month of April, I was forced to make some really difficult decisions about the store, about the staff, about my finances, because my bills went up a lot and my income went down a lot, and it was right before summer slowdown. I mean, if you've been a seller for any length of time, you know that summer is not easy. And so all this happened right before summer. which was the worst possible time for it to happen. It's not like it could have happened right before Christmas, you know, when I had the ability to try to increase revenue a little bit to get my cushion back. It had to happen at the worst possible time, and that's exactly what happened. Happened at the worst possible time. So I went into my own little hole, and I stopped putting out YouTube videos. I basically stopped talking to everybody, and I just kind of put my nose to the grindstone and tried to figure out how to make more money. But the problem is customers don't like change. I don't know if you've ever noticed in business that customers don't like change, but they don't. They hate it, as a matter of fact. So I had to figure out how to make changes to my store that would increase my profits. So I changed the entire model of my store. I switched everything from a descending price bin store model. I opened more days a week. I started doing a lot more flat pricing. I brought in other kinds of loads. I brought in food. I brought in cleaning supplies. I tried to make the store a place that sold things that people needed as opposed to things people wanted. So basically I went from doing the decreasing model to a flat price every single day. So I opened up more days a week, and I just basically said every day is a flat $3. And I priced the higher value stuff, put it on shelves. I have my Facebook group that I sell the higher value items in. And basically the store is just $3 every single day unless it has a price on it, which I thought would be something that my customers would like, because $3 day was actually the most popular day that the store had. The higher value days were actually going down a lot. That's why my profit margins were getting so bad. They were getting bad for a really long time, because it's almost like people were skipping the higher value days and they were just waiting for Saturday to come in for $3. So when I was rethinking the new store model, I kind of thought that is what my customers wanted, because that was the most popular day of the week. $3 Saturday. It was the most popular day of the week. So I figured doing $3 every single day would be something that my customers would like. But unfortunately, I have been hit with only negative reactions to the new store model. I do have people that come in and say that they like the new store model, but those are new customers. They're customers that don't know it any other way. The customers that are old customers that are still coming in, they don't like the new store model, which has caused me to lose a lot of customers. My margins are better. My margins are a lot better than they were, but I'm having to start my customer base back from scratch, because the previous customers that knew it the old way do not like this new way. And I'm having to constantly figure out every day what in the hell I'm doing, because I feel like I don't know what I'm doing anymore. And it keeps getting harder. Keeps getting harder. And I'm trying to figure out every single day what the hell I'm doing here. Every time I think I've got it figured out, I have to figure it out again. And frankly, it's exhausting. For everybody who's wondering why I'm not on Whatnot anymore, it has nothing to do with the Whatnot platform. I'm probably going to make a more detailed video talking about Whatnot. It has nothing to do with Whatnot's platform. It's just that I don't have time for it. I don't have time for it. The time involved with prepping, the time involved with shipping, because I had to lay off so many staff members, I just don't have the time to do it anymore, and make it worth the time. So, if I was working out of my basement, and I didn't have the overhead of a store, it'd be totally worth it to continue doing it. I'm probably going to make an entire dedicated video talking about why I'm not on Whatnot anymore. And all of that. That's a lot of stuff to update. A lot of stuff. I was talking to my husband about this morning. I was not planning to come back to YouTube right now. I really wasn't. But I was talking to my husband about it just this morning. I woke up and I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to put makeup on and film a YouTube video today. Because truthfully, this is the first time I've worn makeup to work since the last time I filmed a YouTube video. Yeah, my give a damn's been broke. Let's just put it that way. I have not, like, I just come into work and I just run through the motions. I haven't, you know, and I need to get back. I need to get back to being me. Because I can't keep going like I've been going, because it really sucks. It sucks really, really bad. So I have plans to make some videos and tell you guys things that have been happening. So be watching. I can't predict when videos will come up, but I'm going to do them. I'm going to figure out how to do it, because strangely enough, in all of this, doing YouTube feels the most normal to me. And so I'm hoping that coming back to YouTube and talking to all of you and letting you guys know everything that's been going on, I'm hoping that that is going to give me some sort of normalcy again, because it has been rough. It's been really, really hard. And I feel like I need something to revert back to that feels normal and brings the old Lindey back. So there's that. You know, show you guys how I've changed the store, show you different things that I've been doing, show you different things that I've been getting in loads. I've got lots of ideas. I just need to figure out how to present all of them. But anyway, make sure you're subscribed, like the video for me. I know that it helps the YouTube algorithm and I really appreciate it. If any questions or comments, feel free to leave them down in the comments below. Double check and make sure that you're subscribed and ring the notification bell. That way you're notified whenever I post a new video. I know that after a certain period of time, YouTube sometimes starts to unsubscribe people. So make sure that you are subscribed if you want to see what's coming up from me. I do have big plans. I have big plans, new business ventures, new things that I want to do, because I'm down, but I'm not out. Onward. Thanks so much for being here. Thank you for all of your support, and I will see you guys with my next video. Bye-bye.